Again, a pleasant good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hearing now resumed.
Let me take
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, sir.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good morning. Sir, would you state your name again for the purposes of the record?
Says Gunraj.
Now, Mr. Gunraj, when we left off yesterday afternoon, we were going to look at some videos which you have provided to us. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, could we put the first video up, please? And before we run it, I'll ask a question. Is it that we are about to see a video of yourself and representatives of the OAS and Commonwealth Observer Team being prevented from entering Ashman's building?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we play it?
On what date?
I believe this was the 6th of...
Good morning.
This is the 6th of March.
I am at the RO4 office.
Is that you?
As you're aware,
It is, sir.
we have been invited here for a 9 a.m. start. It is now 20 minutes to 9, and there's been no
This is the
movement in terms of
13th.
must be allowed into the building. As I'm here, there are, let me flip this. There are representatives of the OAS and Commonwealth Observer teams. I am aware as well there's a very heavy police presence, but we are being told by ranks who are present here this morning that we will not be allowed entry. I'm not sure what that position is. Of course, we are seeing more police officers arriving. I don't know who is bringing what instructions and what, but we are here. The office, from where I can see, remains closed. Let me try to zoom that view and see. The office remains closed. The office remains closed as we speak, and there is no movement. Of course, standing outside of the barriers, awaiting the, as they say, further instructions from the policemen. You are subjected to all kinds of abuse from the persons who are gathered here. As you see as well, there's a gentleman who, I'm not sure under what circumstances under which he left the employee of the Gary Elections Commission, the gentleman in blue there. His name is Colin April. He is the person who yesterday would seem to be in control. Sorry, I'm trying to get a zoom for you to see the office. It remains tightly shut. It remains tightly shut. That is the entrance that we have been using to the RO4 office. It remains tightly shut. So as I'm standing over here, we are awaiting, as the police have said, further instructions. I will retreat to the safety and comfort of my vehicle to get out of the sun, but I will continue to update you as soon as something happens, or as soon as we are allowed entry. Thank you.
Thank you. So, you were saying this was on the 13th?
That was the 13th of March.
Yes.
In the morning.
And the building that we...
Mr. Gunraj, the video that I saw, and given my understanding of the geography of the area, you were at the barricade.
I was at the barricade.
That barricade appeared to have been not just outside the corner where the Ashlands building is located, but 1 block away by the Georgetown Magistrates Court, at Brickdown.
Breakdown and High Street. Yes, sir.
And the building we saw was Ashman's building.
Yes, ma'am.
The shutters we saw were the shutters at the entrance of Ashman's building.
Yes, ma'am.
And we saw Mr. April being permitted into that building. And you as the commissioner remained at the barricades.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Could we move on?
Before we
Sorry.
Yeah.
April was former member, employee of GCOI,
Yes, please, Chair.
former employee. You don't know what
My-
his role was that day?
My understanding is subsequently to that day that he was employed on contract for the purposes of the election.
Okay.
I beg your pardon. I think we got up to SG9 yesterday, so might this one be admitted as SG10?
Yes, that's what she had.
So this is SG10. Might we move on to the other video, which ought to be an indication of the witness updating the media while outside the High Court?
Good afternoon. Earlier today, I gave an interview to you when I stated that we made a request, and when I say we, that we make it elusive. I appear in all of these proceedings as a commissioner of the Gambia Elections Commission in no other capacity. I made a request of the Chief Elections Officer to be provided with copies of statements of poll within his possession. I have noticed quite capriciously the statement I made this morning that seems to be taken out of context. I, as a commissioner, have not received the full complement of statements of poll from the Chief Elections Officer, to which I am entitled. After the process in which we were receiving those statements of poll was scuttled, he did not provide to us the rest of the statements of poll. So two things. One, I am saying as a commissioner of the Guyana Elections Commission, and I wish to make it clear that I'm not speaking here. I don't have the capacity to speak on behalf of the People's Progressive Party, Civic, or any other political party. I'm speaking here solely as a commissioner of the Guyana Elections Commission. We made that request to be provided with the rest of the statements of poll in the possession of the Chief Election Officer, and we have not received that. And secondly, the statements of poll in the possession of the RO should also be publicized. Those are the two things that I want to see. So it is to provide clarity that I have come to make that statement to you this afternoon. I have only heard of the removal of the containers from the convention center through the media, just like you have heard. But I have received an assurance from the Chief Elections Officer that they are being removed to the GCOM headquarters and the same facility that was in place at the convention center. That is to say, persons, representatives of parties will be allowed to keep watch on them, that will be allowed, that facility will be allowed to continue. So I'm actually, when I leave here, I'm actually going to go to the GCOM headquarters to ensure that that facility is being put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. So, can you remember which date this was?
I can't, ma'am.
All right. And this was as a result of a request made by yourself as a commissioner or all the commissioners for copies of the SOPs?
It is a request that I made on behalf of myself, Commissioner Robeson Ben, and Commissioner Bibi Shadik, now deceased.
And did you ever receive copies of all of the SOPs destined for the CEO?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Might this be admitted as SG11?
Yes.
The next video which we will see is a video of Mr. Timothy Jonas, SC, providing a media update regarding certain allegations. Might it be shown?
5,000 people accomplished this. 5,000 people accomplished this 4 times in one day without a whisper. I want you to hear my answer. You gotta find 5,000 people, each of whom goes back to do this 4 times. Now they're not going back to the same place of poll, because these accusations might happen all over the country. So if you vote in LBI the 4th time, you might not go to Sapphire to vote the 2nd time. You might not go to Tocqueville the 3rd time, and you might not reach to Mary the 4th time. Each time going home to change and put on your makeup and get your ID card, and don't mix up your ID card. You gotta make sure you got it. 5,000 people. If PPP accomplished that, when you have APNU agents in the place, PPP agents in the place, GCOM agents in the place, and every time wipe off the finger clean and go back and live again 4 times, and 5,000 people accomplished this. 5,000 people accomplished this 4 times in one day without a whisper. So that the next day, Patterson, King David, Cambridge, Basil, all of them say we had a good fair election. The international observers say we had a good election. Me, who went and voted and saw it peacefully done, say we had a good election. If PPP pulled that off, vote PPP. Because they're really, really good. They get my vote if they pull that off.
Right. Yes.
Chair, there were a plethora of allegations coming from one stakeholder, one contestant in the elections. That is to say, the APNU plus AFC. After all the shenanigans had begun and been perpetuated by Mingo, by Lowenfield, etc., that the electoral process on elections day was somehow flawed. This is all, of course, ex post facto.
Yeah.
This gentleman, who we saw in the video, was Mr. Timothy Jonas, a contestant and representative of one of the political parties, the ANUG, a New and United Guyana. And he...
And an attorney at law.
And an attorney at law and senior counsel. He was basically summarizing a lot of the allegations of voter fraud as made by APNU, AFC on elections day. Mind you, they made the allegations months after. And he was basically saying that they could not be feasible.
Thank you. Might this be admitted as SG 12?
Yes.
The next video we will see, I beg your pardon. I would say that the following videos are videos which had been sent to the witness from various persons. So if we can now go to the next video, which is a video of the chairman of GCOM speaking after applications had been made to prevent the recount. A very short video.
Applications have been made in court.
Yes. Can we play this? It's quite short.
they cannot be addressed, then why not have it done?
Could you turn up the volume a bit and replay it?
And if they cannot be addressed, then why not have it done?
Can you help us with what she's saying?
I certainly can, sir. The timing of this video is very, very important. This video was on the 13th of March. Recalling my testimony yesterday, I said that we commenced the process in the media center on the morning of the 13th of March. Marshals came. Mingo was summoned to the High Court. This video is immediately after the High Court proceedings ended. The lady in the video is the chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission, retired Justice Claudette Singh. The gentleman behind her is an attorney at law who appeared with and for her in that matter, Mr. Robin Hunt. And at that hearing, the Honorable Chief Justice reiterated to Mingo what he needed to do and how he needed to do it. The tabulation process. Statement of poll to statement of poll. And this contextually was after the first requests for recount were denied by Mingo. And that is to say the requests that were made on the 6th of March after his first fraudulent declaration.
So that Mrs. Singh, at this point in time, is relaying the information of the High Court.
Not specifically, Chair. The question that was posed to her by the media corps was, in light of the previous refusal for a recount, what happens after this new declaration, after the properly done tabulation? And the response of the chairman was, well then, why not a recount? And then the following words were, the following question was in relation to time, because you had now been 11 days after the elections, and obviously the concern of the nation was, when will we get results? So she said, well, we will work day and night to ensure that that is done. So that is the recount that she was talking about.
Might this be admitted? Sorry. Might this be admitted as SG 13?
Yes.
The next video we will see pertains to the whole episode involving Mr. Liban. In fact, the next two, yes, there are 3 segments of this video, but what we have done is we have identified the portion, so it may take a little time to upload before it starts playing. Could we turn up the volume? We can't hear it. Could we start it back and turn up the volume?
As we asked the ongoing from the commissioners, What if men, men out there, it is them coming here also in the court. They ask us to leave the room. The gentleman here, I don't know their names. I don't know. The fight is very clearly. That's what I said. This gentleman they asked us to leave. All of the people.
Can we pause it? So, can you tell us who the gentleman in blue is?
Sitting with his arms folded?
Yes.
That is Mr. Duarte Etzberger. At that time, the personal assistant to the chief elections officer.
And who is the young man who is speaking?
The gentleman who is speaking is, I can't recall his name, I think it is, he was a representative of one of the political parties.
A party agent?
He was a party agent.
And the gentleman behind him, to whom he seems to be explaining things, was whom?
The gentleman with the black t-shirt?
Yes.
That was an officer of the police force.
Okay.
I believe his name was Wright.
Sure. Could we continue?
At point, some of us left, some of us remained. We kept watch until we closed. What's your name, sir? You want all the conversation? And you just want beforehand, I was in the room. See you and the commissioners there, and you see all that will be asked to continue.
Could we pause? So, who is this individual?
Enrique Laivan.
And was he the same gentleman who was a GCOM employee on the night of, during the initial count? Working during the initial count?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in the frame, can you make it a bit larger? Is it possible? Okay, so in the frame in front of his phone, if you need to approach the screen, please let us know. Is that a flash drive?
It is, ma'am.
And to the bottom right of the screen, we are seeing what appears to be an open laptop.
Yes, ma'am.
And is there a flash drive in that laptop as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Might we continue? We want to hear what he said, so if you could try to raise the volume a bit.
I explained to commissioners and CEOs that we have been here 2 days and change, and actually I will try. But going into the room, I relayed this to everyone in the room that explained that the same thing that I've been here for 2 days. I was still trying to read some years until I'm seeing that I've been here to continue. I started with Mr. PRO and for a couple of the SOCs. Along with the agent, the party agents, and myself, I realized that I was calling what the wrong thing because I was having at the gate. I explained, I contacted Mr. Ben also, the commissioner, spoke to me and said, I explained, I said I would be able to continue, but I'd go, and I explained to them, I said I'd go and see if I get the CEO, who was not in the building when I met. That evening I left the office and then we went back. On the back I said I would be able to continue, which was an agreement with this person that we agreed that I was indeed calling wrong figures and I don't want to be calling wrong figures from the SOPs. So I said I needed this. So on taking the SOPs, I told my other colleague, the store superintendent, to just take the SOPs and press them out about the way they were before. And I extracted the flash drive from the computer. When I came out, I just asked, where is the flash drive? The flash drive is this is the flash drive. You can't tell.
And actually you asked us to leave the room before.
So you said that is the flash drive? This is the flash drive. Upon coming back, I said that indeed I had to seek you along the room with the picture. I have this key here and ask them to leave.
not in my capacity to ask you today if you want to remain. Mr. Ben, after that, he indicated that he okay, that he will explain that indeed I explained to him from the onset that I was tired, and that if this is I'm tired, that they can't do anything, but they will not leave in the room. I said, okay. I was accompanied by Mr. Ben, who said that to not leave the building. So I came in the office here, which I came here, I rest this flat because I rest my head and I started sleeping. Upon sleeping in here, I heard a rock or somebody come at this, look, he's entering something in the system. I didn't touch this computer for the night. The father is here, I even told him to take the father and put the fuck in the system and everything that was everything that everything that would have been, that they would have been seen, they would have been taking videos of, pictures of, all everything that the father did to take us, they would be the same. Because I didn't try to ask Mr. Bill, like this, I came on the table and rest my head, rest the flashlight, or anything that was visible to him also before he left. I was just in here sleeping. When somebody came, I said, look, so all I heard was, look, he's doing something on the computer. Then after that was a rush. And that was it.
You were saying when he was coming towards this office, we called him and asked him to bring back the flash drive. He walked, he stopped, he walked, he stopped, and then at a point he then entered into the room. I believe that he should know that the flash drive should remain visible because that is what we as the parties have asked him to do.
In the first instance, when I collected, when I was assisting the first person when they stopped, the flash was also removed from the computer at that point.
No.
By the same person who was
No.
Yes, it was
removed the flash drive out of the computer.
Are you listening to me? I'm speaking to about when the two young ladies were being when they finished up when she was finished.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was removed.
No, it was not. Officer.
Whether it was or was not, it was before we didn't notice.
Officer,
you removed it.
There is an extra. And say that if you have to go to the room, I made sure the flash was visible at all times, even when Mr. Bennett.
No, it could not be visible at all.
It was in my hand. I didn't put it in the pocket or anything.
We don't know.
I had the flash in my hand, I was straight in the room, and rested on this desk. Mr. Ben accompanied me in here. I wasn't alone in this room either. I came here, I started sleep.
So you said the door was closed, right?
The door was pushed in.
And you had your head on the desk.
I had my head laid on
and then after that, we had a rush from me.
It wasn't
that means the flash drive was not visible to all of us.
Officer, can I also add that there are inconsistencies in the stories here, whether how minute the details are. He said to all of us publicly, he was here since Sunday and he's tired. 2 minutes ago, he said he's here 2 days now. So if there's a challenge in recollecting the details, it also puts into question the very details to which he's alluding to.
In the last statement to everyone, that is witnesses, and then we
Officer, I'm going to want to put the family and the management leader to overtake justice party. I would like to agree to a certain extent with the gentleman's story in terms of his recollection of the conversation in the room. But I would also agree with my colleagues who said that the flash was not visible all the time because when the flash came out of the computer, it disappeared. Disappeared because we could not physically see it. So whether it was in his hands, his backpack, or his pocket, we don't know. Whether that is a flash, it is still unclear because we have not verified the data. But also, I would say something that is awfully suspicious is when we walked into this room, this young lady that was sitting on the floor had a series of pages that are now housed on top of that banister. When someone started to take pictures of her with the pages, she rubbed each of those pages. She roughly took those pages, placed them on there, and removed herself from this area and then sat precisely where she is right now. So the data that is contained on those pages has not been moved, it has not been touched.
These pages?
Correct.
Second row. Yes. Good.
So after that, she sat down on this side here, and then we stood around and ensured that this desk and this computer, this gentleman, were not interacting with each other.
Thank you. So, might this one be admitted as SG14? And in this video, we saw certain accusations being made about Mr. Liban's conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
And we also saw that these accusations were made in the presence of someone you identified as a police officer.
Yes, ma'am.
And we saw that there were several people in that room, including Mr. Lennox Schumann
Yes, ma'am.
and Mr. Charles Ramson.
Correct.
And I think I asked you questions before about what was on the table. So can we move to the next one?
One more. Commissioner Gunnar, it was difficult for me to hear clearly the audio in that video. But can you help us, in a nutshell, what were the complaints being made against Mr. Liban, the allegations?
As for starters, Commissioner,
We don't want a lengthy explanation.
I will try.
I would be happy with beginning. He picked up the laptop and a flash drive and went into a room. That was the first thing he did after he declared he was tired and stopping.
Correct.
Yeah.
He went into the room. He was asked on several occasions between the picking up the laptop and the flash drive and getting to the room. He was asked on several occasions in that short journey to leave them in the room so that everyone could presence and sight of everyone. That request was denied. He proceeded into that room, and then shortly after, he proceeded into that room. Persons went behind him. Certain allegations were made as to what he was doing there. Questions were raised in relation to...
No, but I would like to know what were the allegations.
The allegation was, Commissioner, that he was actually working on that laptop with that flash drive that he removed from the tabulation center in a room outside of the sight and observation of all the persons gathered. Persons who, I must add, are persons who are entitled to be there by law.
Yeah.
Was any reason ever advanced why he removed the laptop from the room and the flash drive in the other room?
Except what was heard there, Chair, which is that the other persons did it prior to him, which was immediately denied by everyone present there.
And as far as you know, did anyone tell you that he or she actually saw him working on the laptop?
Yes, sir. That was the basis of the complaint. After the initial complaint of not seeing where the flash drive was, and he went and locked himself into that room.
And you know the name, you know those persons, or the person or persons?
Immediately, I can't tell you, Chair. I can't. I just don't recall immediately.
You yourself don't know what work he was doing on the laptop. Do you or don't you?
I did not see.
Mr. Gunraj, the impression I get from the video, and I wasn't really able to hear precisely all that was said, is that he entered into the room. On his version, he put his head on the table and apparently fell asleep or tried to sleep. He was asked if the door was locked, and he said it was pushed. So I'm unclear as to whether the door was just closed or locked. But I gather the impression I'm forming is that when he got up and moved towards that room, people protested and then followed him. So I'm trying to understand what time he had to actually work on the laptop. I'm not saying you know the answer to this. I'm just sharing with you my concern about what I'm seeing. Because people protested and followed him. The evidence we've heard so far, there's no one saying that they had to kick off the door or whatever. They entered and they saw him with his head on the table indeed, just as he said. So what concerns me is, what time did he have to be working on the machine?
Commissioner, when he went to that...
But you weren't there, were you?
I was.
You observed this?
I did observe this. When he proceeded to that door, that room, even though requests were being made of him, when he went into that room, the door was closed.
Was the door locked?
My recollection is that persons attempted to go into the room immediately and were unable to. At some subsequent time, people kept rapping on the door, etc. And at some time, I believe later, they were able to go into that.
So how much time elapsed between his entering the room and other persons having access?
Chair, to give in terms of minutes and seconds, I can't, but there was some time that elapsed.
An hour?
At least 10 or 15 minutes.
10 or 15 minutes.
Didn't this room have glass skins?
Not the room, not this room that we just saw.
No, the room where Live Van was in. Did it have any?
No,
you
not.
couldn't see it.
No, you couldn't see it. Not this room that just was on that video. You could not see it.
We were pointed out the room at the Ashman building downstairs on the ground floor.
This is the room you're speaking about, which he
retreated.
That room, you said, had no glass.
Had no glass. It was a solid door and 4 solid walls, and interestingly, there was a door leading to the outside of the building from that room, which was visible in this video as well.
So how then could someone have seen him working on the laptop? Couldn't see through the glass, there was no glass. The door, you see, was either closed or locked.
Right.
Until it was open. And people entered. How was it possible for anyone to see him actually working on the laptop?
For clarification, Chair, I said earlier on, I did not, it was the information that was relayed to me. I was present at the Ashman's building on the said floor as well. My recollection is that at some point, persons were able to enter into the room, at which time they observed him working on the laptop.
But that seems to be not consistent with what he's just said. He said he entered the room, he was tired, and put put his head down and he either started to sleep and then persons entered the room.
And
Do you understand where I'm?
if I might add to that, that's what he said. But other witnesses who have testified before us have said when they entered the room, he had his head down over his lap.
It obviously depended on at which point you entered the room. My recollection is at some point in time he put his head down on his laptop as a form of protest. As
Well, you can't say that. I don't think you could make that. I don't say you reason. You wouldn't know why he put his head down. We have to, at the moment, we have to accept what he's saying. That he put his head down because he was tired. You're saying he put his head down as a form of protest. That's your.
And I don't want to hazard an opinion, Chair. I can tell you what I heard because it was there and it was all in earshot.
What you heard from who?
From the persons who entered the room at first, they said he is working on the...
You're using the expression at first.
Yes, sir.
Now, the way I understand it is that he entered the room live.
Yes, sir.
According to him, put his head down and either started to sleep or rest. The door was closed.
Yes.
Whether locked or not, we don't know.
Correct.
And then persons entered the room.
Yes, sir.
So when you say at first,
that's the point that I'm referring to.
Chair, if I could just seek to assist with clarification. You will recall that whoever made the first observations not only called other people around apparently, but we have evidence which has been presented before this inquiry that the police were then called, and it appears as though what we see in the video is what happens after the arrival of the police. So
police were called at what point in time?
Well, presumably after I will have to look at what the witnesses said, but I think the sequence of events went like this. Some persons went to the room, made observations. The people in the tabulation room, the RO's office, were alerted. Around that time, police officers were called. We have from AOP Thomas, I think, a time frame within which it took them to arrive at the building. And he said that one of his officers, and I think he had identified Officer Wright. Officer Wright was the one who spoke to Mr. Leiber. I think this is what we are seeing here, just to place it in context.
Commissioner Gunraj, clearly this incident involving Mr. Leiber attracted the attention of the police.
Yes, sir.
And in that video that we looked at, while he gave his explanation, there was a police presence there.
Yes, sir.
Did the police take the laptop and the flash drive?
They did not, sir.
They did not.
They did not.
Can I ask you finally, did this incident involving Mr. Leiber engage the attention of the Guyana Elections Commission? And was there an inquiry by the Commission into these events?
If it did engage the attention of the Commission, it would have been tangentially or en passant, not formally. A reference might have been made to it. And to answer your second question, there was no formal inquiry into that event.
You say if it was inquired, it would have been en passant.
If it was mentioned or if it was discussed at the commission, it would have been all possible.
But you don't know.
No, I do know, sir.
Well, then why, if it was mentioned?
Reference was made to it, Commissioner, but not in the form of a specific agenda item or as part of an inquiry into specific events that occurred during that period.
Did you press for an inquiry?
No, sir.
Okay, so can we move on to the next video, which is the AmCham observer's explanation. Well, the AmCham observer's statements with respect to the laptop on the desk. So it's loading.
No.
Which means that we don't have to ascertain that it did or not in that part of the investigation.
Could we pause? Is that Mr. Charles Ramsden?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
And that red string around his neck is his accreditation?
Well, not the string, ma'am, but what's attached to the string.
Yes. Yes. Could we continue? And next pause. The gentleman next to him, is that Dr. Josh Kanhai?
Yes, ma'am. And I am next to Dr. Kanai.
Okay, continue.
Mr. Schumann is saying that this laptop was the last piece of information that was shown on the screen. This laptop was used, but he came in here and met this laptop in here. So how could this laptop be used in here?
What I said is that I want to see what the last information.
Pause, please. The gentleman who is offering an explanation there, Mr. Hetzberger. While you had been in the returning officer's room, was Mr. Hetzberger ever there?
No, ma'am.
Good. Let's continue.
What the last information populated on that screen was. What we also know is that the laptop that was supposed to be on the desk has been moved. And our understanding is that the Guyana Elections Commission has several laptops of similar type as we have seen through the night. So it is very difficult for us to say which of the laptops have been used last to populate the screen outside.
Could we
And
pause?
also what was
And the gentleman who is speaking is Mr. Leonard Schumann, who was a party agent or representative of another party.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we continue?
on this laptop, sir.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
The laptop that was used in the room is not there.
Could we pause? Can you tell us who the lady speaking is?
Her name is Anisha Mohammed. She is a representative of the People's Progressive Party.
Continue.
Room is this one here, because I had to assist with putting on a projector on it, and the brand and face, so I'm not sure if it's another one, but the one that was in the room is not presently in the room.
Can you say where your laptop is?
On
the SOC. So he's saying
you guys will see like it was not sure that
So why did you reject it?
So that's the issue, right? I believe I made, in my humble opinion, a very viable solution as to the one, the anxiety, or the collective anxiety of all of us present here will be assuaged by the presence of these pieces of equipment in the room. Your passengers will be secured by the presence of your ranks, as many as you like.
I have something. If what?
On behalf of
on behalf of the PPP. Okay, so we were all sitting at a table. We had a very close up view of the computer we had in the background. We knew the chef was close to the I saw it on those. What I would suggest is that all flash drives on this table be taken. Because you can't take one and not know if the information is possible.
No, I still agree. I'm still waiting on the CEO somebody to make a call as to whether we should go ahead or the process, which is the most important one. That was what I was advising.
Unfortunately,
time is of the essence.
Unfortunately for you, you weren't here when everything unfolded, but we were here from the beginning when things were unfolding. And so we have an insight as to the circumstances surrounding all of these things. So, as far as we're concerned, that's everything that has information contained.
No.
Can you get the
The laptop in the room presently is a Dell. This is.
Mr. Dunrich, can you tell me to whom were these remarks being directed?
For the most part, Commissioner, to Mr. Wright, the police officer. The police officer.
To the police officer?
Mr. Wright.
The police officer is the person in the black t-shirt.
The black t-shirt with the fancy decal on it.
He's a police officer.
It was at the wee hours of the morning, Commissioner, and I believe as a detective rank, he was not a uniformed rank.
He was conducting an investigation.
Yes.
Picture that we recorded earlier. This is the picture of him and his colleague sitting on the desk with an Acer brand laptop, which is this one here. The one placed in the room right now is a Dell. You can't go from Acer to Dell by just sitting on SOP.
So, at this point, that young lady is displaying a photograph of the laptop which she had taken in the registration, in the returning officer's office, correct? And what she is telling us is that the laptop was an Acer and the one which Mr. Livan had was an Acer. In front of him was an Acer.
Correct.
Yes, could we continue?
In his life.
It would be helpful, even in the absence of the CEO.
Acer.
Even in the absence of the CEO, if he can just show us.
What would you like about that? Yes,
can we pause? And before that, what Mr. Livan had said was that the laptop he had been using was a Dell laptop. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we continue?
It's the bag. Your laptop was in the bag, came with the flash, and a different laptop was on a different laptop was in the room now. Can you explain that?
We have pictures, right?
We have pictures, man. It doesn't lie. We have pictures.
The question on the flash drive, explain to us how exactly you know the distinction between the two laptops.
Okay, earlier they needed assistance with the laptop. The laptop that I assisted with was an Acer brand.
Could you roll it back a little bit so we can see the outside of the room? Right. Just a little. No, before there. Just a second. What we just saw was on the outside of the room?
It was. I'm grateful for that reminder. There was, as you quite rightly recognized here, there was glass on the outside. I just didn't remember that.
And
but importantly, there was a door on the leading to the inside of the building, and there was one leading to the outside of the building.
did you also observe that there appeared to be curtains on hanging at the glass?
Yes.
In regards to what?
The question on the flash drive, explain to us how exactly you know the distinction between the two laptops.
Okay, earlier they needed assistance with the laptop. The laptop that I assisted with was an Acer brand laptop, which I have a picture of here.
Can we see that picture?
This is the picture that we were taking
Can you check my
evidence of.
list? Let me get a picture. Okay, to make sure the brand. I'm seeing the name.
Are you seeing
Yes,
Acer?
hold on. It is record. Good. I think I got that. That's an Acer.
Good. So the young man that was calling out the SOPs said to us that he did not take the laptop. I was present in the room. I saw that he picked up the laptop, put it in his backpack, along with the thumb drive. When we were questioned just now by the police, he said that the laptop was in the room. We identified the laptop in the room. It was a Dell brand, which I have a picture of also. One second. This here is a Dell brand laptop. Completely different brand from what was presented in the room. He can't explain the fact that he lied, that the laptop was in there, and that he didn't take it. Is very, very questionable right now.
Thank you. I think I made an error when I said it was the AmCham observer's explanation. It is really focused on the young lady's explanation. She's the PPP agent. What did you say her name was?
Anisha Mohammed.
Thank you. Might this be admitted as SG15? Yes, thank you. Might we move on to the next video? This is supposed to be a video of Dr. Karen Cummings speaking to the international observers about revoking their accreditation. Could we pause? Could we go back a little bit? Could you rewind a bit? Right, so can you identify who's the lady sitting at the head table?
That is Karen Cummings, the then Minister of Foreign Affairs.
And are you able to assist us? Now we see people with different colored jackets, but the gentleman in the middle of the frame, did you know who he was?
The khaki jacket and the blue shirt on it, that is Mr. Owen Arthur.
Yes. Please. Pause. Could we pause? And the gentleman speaking is Mr. Tenny Husti of the Guyana Bar Association.
Correct.
Continue. little softer, we might get a better feed, no? Okay, well just continue, we'll try to do our best with the transcript.
Raj, who is the lady in the purple t-shirt who was video recorded?
She was, I don't recall her name, Commissioner, but she was a member of one of the observer teams. This lady right here, yes.
Could we continue?
No, but it comes across as intimidation, that you're trying to intimidate the observers when you speak about taking away accreditation.
We see observers walking out of the room.
Yes, ma'am.
And who is the person who's just entered the room and handed what appears to be a cell phone to Ms. Cummings?
That is Roxanne Myers, the then Deputy Chief Elections Officer.
Sure. Could we continue, please?
So I'm just happy that you're here. You're all updated us with the good spirits. We're visiting us for the first time. I just keep on living. So the last part you're hearing from me is continue doing your good job.
No, but then it doesn't take away from the fact that you made a threat that you were told to take away accreditation.
Now, do you recognize the voice of the gentleman speaking?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is that?
That is Mr. Owen Arthur.
Could you continue?
He's now, that
I speak on behalf of the American, regardless of the situation of people in the world. And I am not going to have nothing to compromise disrespecting by the threat to take away the meditation of the common life. I just speak to the common life. I'm going to speak to the common life from the business community. I have a duty to her. To report accurately, and if I don't know a word speaking accurately, so that it's about this, because I'm just this. No. They take it, they complete it. Because the president didn't say that.
Pause, please.
The lady who keeps handing the phone to the minister is the minister's secretary?
No, sir. That is the Deputy Chief Elections Officer, Roxanne Myers.
I thought it might have been an assistant.
Possibly, sir.
And while Dr. Arthur is speaking to Ms. Cummings, she is constantly taking phone calls from Ms. Myers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's continue.
All right, thank you.
Might that be admitted as SG-16?
Yes.
If there are no other questions for this witness, these are my questions for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Judge.
Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Brings us to the end of the day.
Yes.
We have come to the end of this hearing for today, and we resume on Monday morning at 9 a.m.
Much
You have a
obliged.
pleasant weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.